everybody, Laura here. So glad you're joining me. Today I have not one, not two, but three projects to share with you. I'm playing with embossing folders. This is fun. I've never really played with embossing folders that much, but I've got these three here. They're by Spellbinders, designed by Richard Garay. This first one is the framed canvas. It's got a beautiful kind of pillowy quilted look to it. This next one is called Fabric Weave, and look at that. It looks like crinkled, I don't know, almost like a frosted cake if you ask me, because I'm always thinking food. And this last one's my fave. She's my fave. Wait till you look. It's called Rosette Wall. Look at that. It's like a party in an embossing folder. So that's what I'm going to use first. I actually use all three of them because why not? Okay, so I'm using a piece of Nina Solar White. This is the 110 pound, a little bit thicker than I normally use the 80 pound. I just thought the 110 pound might give me better results, but actually I tried them both and they both turned out equally fabulous. So I have lots of embossed cardstock to play with. So my recipe, what you call the sandwich recipe, is I use my magnetic base plate. I put the embossing folder right on top of the magnetic plate, and then my top cutting plate. So there's just the magnetic base, the embossing folder, and the cutting plate. And I ran it through and it seemed to feel right. You gotta know the feel of your cutting machine so that you're not making it too thick. You can bend your, I've done that before, by the way. I've bent my handle on the Big Shot because I was trying to force something through that was too thick to fit through. I was probably trying to emboss something. Who knows what I was trying to do. And I knew what I was doing was not working, but I was just going to force it to work. And I actually bent my handle. And luckily my husband was able to kind of unbend the handle for me so it worked again, but it always was a little bit wonky, kind of like driving a car with a little bit of a flat tire. Anyway, eventually I got a new Big Shot, and so I've always been a little bit sensitive to when you're running things through, the feel of it. If you feel like it's too tight, too much tension, just back off on a cutting plate or something and get it till it feels just about right. Anyhow, now we are going to kick it up a notch. I'm doing a little ink blending on my embossed panels. So I'm using Simon's stamp. That first one, I didn't talk quick enough. I'm telling stories about wrecking my Big Shot, but I used Jelly Bean and Malibu. And on this one, I'm using Melon, a little Duckling, and Teeny Bikini. So I'm using some of my favorite colors, and it really brings out the texture, doesn't it? It's fabulous. And for this one, we're going a little bit more elaborate. I thought it'd be fun to mask off each of the individual rosettes so that they could each be individually inked. Because I'm insane like that, and I like to make everything very hard. So what I'm doing here is creating little circle masks. I'm using cheapy cardstock. When I do things for masking or practicing or scratch paper, I use my cheapy white cardstock that I buy at like Walmart. I do not use my Nina Solar White for that kind of stuff, people. My Nina's far too valuable, if you know what I'm saying. So I used the nested circle dies by Simon's Stamp, cut out a bunch of circles in different sizes. They're not exact sizes to match each one of these rosettes, but good enough to just mask them off so that I can, sorry about my scraggly hairs. I know it bugs you, it bugs me, it bugs us all, and I just don't know what to do about it. So after I mask off a few of these, and then I'll blend in another one of the rosettes. I'm using Melon here. And so you get the idea. I mask and blend and going in rainbow order, of course, kind of, sort of, rainbowish order. This one's orange peel. I'm not being super, it's hard to get this perfectly exact, but good enough so that each of the colors stays in each of the rosettes. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to continue. It takes a little time. This one is definitely a lot more involved than the other two embossing folders. And I get these crazy ideas, and I do crazy things sometimes. Time-consuming backgrounds. And really what we're doing here is creating colorful, textural, interesting backgrounds. A lot of times when I create cards, my backgrounds are very plain, very white, maybe just some subtle ink blending, but these are going to have lots of texture. Look at that. That is like a party. Have you seen those paper rosettes you can make and people hang them for a party? That's what this reminds me of. So now I took all of my little embossed ink blended panels, put them on card bases, and we're ready to turn them into cards. Okay, so first we're starting with the sentiment. I've got the painted friend die, and I'm going to die cut that with some Nina Solar White that's been adhered to some white fun foam. It's going to give us that dimension that we love, that I love. I know you love it too. Come on. And I'm running that through back and forth to get a nice clean cut. And so I'm going to do 3 of these. Each one of my cards is going to have friend on it, whether that card likes it or not, because I've already put so much energy into the background. The images and sentiments is going to just have to deal with it. So I'm using the Cuddly Critters and the Cuddly Critters accessories. I'm using the panda. And you know why I use the panda? First of all, number 1, I think that panda is so darn cute. Number 2, the panda, you stamp it, black and white, you're done. The other ones, you got to color them. The kitty, the koala, the bear, and all that, you got to color them. Now the panda, you stamp it, and you're done. I add a little rosy cheeks, but I mean, it was so easy. So just keep that in mind if you're doing an elaborate background. And also, maybe you don't want your images and your sentiments to compete with the background. That's why the panda, with its just black and whiteness, the simpleness of it, it really pops on the colorful background, but yet it doesn't compete with it. These are all the things you got to think about. When you're putting a lot of energy into your background, you don't want your sentiment and the design of your card to actually overtake or compete with it. So that's why I left my sentiment plain white, because therefore it pops, and the panda black and white. I stamped out a few of those Cuddly Critters, a kitty, and I went and colored a kitty. Of course, I color it like a tabby. And then I laid it on this card, and I was like, whoa, too much going on. That's why the black and white panda seemed to be a better fit. Okay, so now I went ahead and put that outer friend die cut over there so I get perfect placement for the dot on my eye. Did you know the dot on the eye is called the tittle? And one thing you never want to have is a misplaced tittle. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you get that thing and it's just not right. It's not right spaced, or it's not tilted just right. And okay, so now I'm deciding, do I want to put a panda on this card? I'm turning it sideways, turning it upright. I can't decide. It seems to be competing. I hate to say compete because I think I already said that 20 times earlier. But I decided just to leave this one with flat out just a sentiment. And a lot of times I do that. If I exhaust myself on a background and it's very pattern heavy, very color heavy, sometimes you maybe just want to go with a very black and white sentiment. And that's what I'm doing. So again, adhering my tittle. Let's see how many times I can say compete and tittle in this video. I think I'm losing it. Okay, so the other day, my daughter Bailey, she's like, guess what, Mom? We only have 18 days left of school. And I was like, I had a little mini panic attack inside. I didn't show it outwardly, but I had a mini panic attack. So I'm taking one of the sentiments from the Cuddly Critters accessories. I cut it right in half because it was like a happy on top and a birthday on the bottom, but I want it happy birthday all on the horizontal. And so I'm embossing that in white on a strip of black cardstock. And I am not afraid to cut my stamps apart. But what I am afraid of is the fact that my kids are getting out of school in 18 days. And it's not that I love having them home. I do. I really do. The problem is the food. And it scares, it actually makes me nervous because they eat so much. And there's 5 of them. And they're just like, oh, they're always hungry. And I can't keep up. And then you got the thing with, are we going to have anything good? That's what I hear all the time. Are you going to make anything good for supper? And yeah, it's just hard. So I'm dealing with the panic attack. And this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I love the teachers. But today was, wear your teacher's favorite color. Of course, Charlie, he has no idea what his teacher's favorite color is. He needs to get a little more observant, poor thing. He's going to have to learn that when he gets a wife one day. So anyway, these cards are finished. I'm babbling on. So fun. Love these embossing folders. You got to give it a try. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.